Welcome to the Don James High School Football Report, everybody. I'm glad to have you guys back. Excuse me, for another Tuesday night. This is a jam-packed Tuesday night. It's the last week of college football rankings, high school football rankings. I'll have my Final Four, my top 25, and the consensus around the country as well. I'll bring Ryan Swartz in for his top 25 and top 22. We're going to get into a lot of things tonight. We got Dylan Goldman from Pittsburgh coming in, writes for the Gazette there, and he writes for RSC and Report as well, same website as me. Jim Cobern, as always, and a couple guest callers possibly coming in at the tail end of the show. Like I said, we got a lot of stuff to go over. Texas A&M, going to go over their quarterback battle that was. Now it's over with the transfers. We're going to go over Dylan's sleeper quarterbacks, his top 3 quarterbacks, and as well as Bill Carroll and Jim's top 3 quarterbacks, and how to replace those quarterbacks too, from kids coming from high school, replacing whoever it is, Jared Goff or Paxton Lynch or Gunnar Kill, whoever it is, Connor Cook. So we'll talk about that. The 2011 recruiting class will be talked about as well, and we have a couple of questions from a couple of Twitter posts or from earlier in the day. I'm going to get to as well at the very end of the show, and just a couple of recruiting battles as well. I'll probably go over the 2017 class a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy show tonight, so stay tuned for the Don James High School Report. We're going to kick it off right now with Ryan Swartz. I think we've been joined by Ryan Swartz. How's it going?
Yes, great, Donovan. How are you?
Pretty good, man, besides my raspy voice for some reason tonight.
It happens.
I don't know. Maybe it's the weather. I don't know. I actually got into an accident today.
Oh, shoot.
So just stressed, I guess.
Sounds like you're doing okay. You're all right, right?
No. I'm fine. Yeah, it's just a little fender bender, but, takes a long time sometimes, but for, everything that happened. We've all done accidents. But anyway, Ryan, and by the way, this is the last time we're going to have you on the show. I know this is the last top 25 rankings. I'm going to have to adjust the show a little bit and see what we're going to talk about for the next few weeks. We're going to have a lot of prospects come on the show now. It's going to be just a lot of kids coming on. They're on break, Christmas, and everything like that, New Year's, and they're done with football. A lot of them are playing 2 sports, but they're able to come on the show. So we're going to be doing a lot of that, a lot of like 4 or 5 prospects on the show at one time, coaches, everything, trainers. But right now, the top 25, man, it's over. Oh, man, I love high school football so much because it's just so fun. It's nothing. There's nothing like it. I mean, college football has this thing, too, where it's fun and you can't get anything quite like it. But the rivalries in high school football and state titles are just, memorable forever. This is the foundation. This is where everything starts. So, man, we had a pretty crazy weekend. Obviously Texas and then California had their top, games of the week. De La Salle. Congratulations. State champions over Centennial. Katie, man, they put on the show. They did what I actually mentioned last week. If they could shut them out or only put up 7, and they could win the national title. Well, they have a share. I'll say that, and we'll get into that. It's a lot of stuff to get into. But let's start off with the state we know best, California. Ryan, let's talk about the big game first. Actually, no. Let me talk about Del Oro versus Camarillo first, and then we'll get to the big game. What happened in that game? Big upset by Del Oro.
Yeah, big upset. As you saw in my Twitter feed, bad look for Southern California as Camarillo was a high-powered offense that was scoring 40, 50 points a game each week. Didn't have much challenges. A 1-point win over Calabasas was really their biggest challenge, and they seemed to blow most teams out. But Del Oro just really controlled the offensive and defensive lines, both sides of the ball. Del Oro got a great pass rush on Jake Constantine. When they didn't, the defensive backfield played great for Del Oro. So really just a terrible matchup for Camarillo. There was a very controversial call that I'll mention. I don't want to put a damper on Del Oro's state championship, but there was a play where Del Oro scored about a 50-yard touchdown, a running back, and stepped out of bounds that you could see on the replay and people see it on TV. Referees missed it, and that was the the difference in the 16-13 final score. But like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Del Oro because they really dominated that game from start to finish. I tend to think that if they didn't, if they had to score another touchdown at some point, they would. But they did a great job controlling the clock and keeping the ball away from Jake. Jake actually did move the ball pretty well, in between the 20s. But once they got into the red zone, he really struggled. The pass rush was great for Del Oro, like I mentioned. And Jake made a few really bad decisions. One, his time was winding down. They had, I think, 8 or 9 seconds on the last play of the first half. And rather than getting rid of the ball and settling for a field goal, he scrambled just back and forth, sideline to sideline, and made a errant throw to end the half, and they came away with no points there. And I want to say maybe twice more he was intercepted with just throws that he was throwing off his back foot just blindly into coverage, and the defensive backs did their job and came down with it. So that was it. Really strong line play, good secondary play, and good clock control. All recipes for Del Oro's success in that game.
Yeah, it was a big upset. I mean, Southern California definitely struggled. We took a loss a little bit, on Friday and Saturday. Well, this weekend, rather. What about Mission Viejo? Mission Viejo,
Mission Viejo,
finally state champ.
Mission Viejo, not only did they get in for the first time, they won it for the first time. But that was that sort of even the playing field for Southern California versus Northern California. Bellarmine is really I think the second best team after De La Salle in Northern California after they knocked off Folsom. Like you mentioned, I think that maybe if those teams play each other 10 times, maybe Folsom wins 6 out of 10 or something, So, but Bellarmine definitely a top team in Northern California against Mission Viejo, who, there's a bunch of Pac-5 teams that got knocked out that didn't play in the state championship that may be better than Mission Viejo. So it was really one of the top 3 NorCal teams against maybe more of a 6 to 10 team in Southern California. So good look for SoCal there with that Mission Viejo blowout win. I believe they held Bellarmine to about or to actual negative yardage overall heading into the fourth quarter. So really dominant performance by Mission Viejo.
Yeah, congrats to Bob Johnson for winning his first state title. It's long overdue. It'd be cool to see him go out on top. I mean, but they could also honestly win next year too. They've really loaded team, pretty young team too. So especially on offense. And we've been joined by Bill Carroll and Jim Cobern, I believe. Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome back, Bill. It's been a little while.
Yes, it has. Been a while since I've had you on mine too. So hopefully we'll both be able to be part of each other's shows again.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can blame rivals and, high school football, I guess, recruiting for that. The kids, man, they keep it busy, I guess. But I'm glad to have you back on the show. We're just getting to the top 25 with Ryan Swartz and Vibe.com right now. I'm getting to some games in California. We're going to talk about the big one. Ryan, of course, De La Salle defeats Corona Centennial in the Open, the big state championship, the biggest game of them all, probably the biggest game of the week. There was a lower scoring game than I guess we all thought. What were the keys for De La Salle to win another state championship?
Definitely the key for De La Salle was its defense, and they've definitely showed since week 3 against Servite how dominant of a unit that can be. Something that really stood out to me last state championship when they beat Centennial with the high-scoring game in 2014 that I sort of forgot about was how great of a job De La Salle gets into the passing lanes of these high-powered offenses, and they've done it against Folsom a couple years ago in back-to-back seasons, and now they've showed it again 2 years in a row against Centennial. But if a lineman doesn't bat down a ball, which happened a lot, then the linebackers are in the passing lanes, and if the linebackers aren't there, then the DBs are there. It's just so impressive how they just know right where to be, and I credit a lot of that to the coaching and the game planning and the scheme. But it just seemed like every time Centennial dropped back to pass that it was a great chance the ball was going to be deflected at some level of the defense. J.J. Taylor, the running back for Centennial, had some impressive runs, and I think he piled up a nice game yardage-wise. But when it mattered, and De La Salle was, Centennial was threatening in the red zone or nearing the red zone, De La Salle clamped down and really shut down every aspect of Centennial when it mattered.
Yeah, I mean, another great performance. Centennial was a hell of a team, no doubt. But De La Salle just had their number that day. And, I mean, that this is a team that's the best in the country, overall, just as far as history, in my opinion. And, I mean, congrats. They were really pumped the locker room. De La Salle wasn't just like another one, another game, another big game. They really wanted to win because of the Trinity loss. I feel like when's the last time they lost 2 games in a season, right? It's been a while, probably. It doesn't happen very often. So, it was a big win, and, well-deserved state champ. I didn't think they would win the state title this year. I really didn't. I thought they would get out of the North, but I didn't think they would win a state title, and they proved me wrong. So, congrats to De La Salle. They did it again. I mean, I can't really ever doubt this team because they're just always so well-coached and so solid. They don't beat themselves very much. So, yeah, I mean, Katy, like I said, they put on a show, man, versus Lake Travis, and they dominated. That's one of the best offenses in the country, let alone at Texas, and they did a great job. I guess, there's a bunch of games that happen, of course, in Texas and California, but I'm going to get into my top 25, the last top 25. Well, my number one team is Bishop Gorman. I think that they dropped 1 week, and then I think that week is the week that St. John Bosco lost. So they have been pretty much number one every week for the past 2 years. We, as a website, voted on them as the national champions, winning another national title back-to-back. They've won 7 straight Nevada D1 titles and 39 consecutive games. USA Today crowned them champions on both polls, the expert poll and the computer rankings, I believe. So hats off to them. I mean, there's going to be controversy we'll get into. But, they're right there. Katy, Texas, I had to put them at number 2. They dominated. This is one of the best defenses I've ever seen in high school football. And I think they've got 10 D1 guys on defense, so it makes sense. The defense is amazing. It doesn't matter what level of football you're playing in. It's a great performance to do that. And that's their eighth state title. I mean, they're honestly going to be better next year. I know they lose Kyle Porter, who is everything for them on offense and such things, but I think they might be even better next year. They could start off number 1 or number 2 in the country, depending on how that goes with transfers or anything like that, injuries. But, they're number 2 for me. Number 3 team is Colquitt County. I mean, they dropped, but, I mean, it's fine. They played a great – I love the Colquitt County team down in Moultrie, Georgia, Ryan. So, I mean, they've won 30 straight games. Yeah. The Packers, Rush Probst has done a great job. I think he should have won Coach of the Year, but Matt Logan got it, which is fine. Matt Logan of Corona Centennial was named Coach of the Year today. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think Rush was, Coach A, Coach B, whichever one. He could have won Coach of the Year. I know he won Georgia State Coach of the Year 2 times in a row. Well-deserved there for him. And number 4 for me is De La Salle. De La Salle, I know they lost to Trinity, who lost in the first round, so people are kind of giving De La Salle hell a little bit still for being in the top 5 of everybody's polls. But, I mean, they can beat anybody. They'll travel anywhere. They'll play anybody, and they match up well versus everyone, too. A really big team, I noticed. Really physical up front, and their big-time linebackers showed up well, too. Male out of Kentucky, number 5. IMG Academy is number 6. Corona